Because the registration process took too long, Ling Dongxing and his son had their lunch before returning to Heaven's Medicine Pavilion after resting for a while. It was about close to nighttime. After Ling Han and Lu Yutong made slight preparations, they set off towards the residence of the fourth prince to a dinner banquet. The residence of the fourth prince was only one street away from the royal house of the Dayuan king, so the two residences were really very close. However, out of the many children of the Dayuan king, only two had gained the privilege of possessing their own individual residences: the first prince and the fourth prince. The first prince, Qi Yongsheng, had displayed his outstanding qualities from birth, with his extraordinary talent, as well as the fact he was the eldest son of the first wife of the Dayuan king. He had naturally long firmly established his identity as the heir. But with the sudden emergence of the powerful fourth prince, he was currently under a great threat. Now, the position of the heir that he had maintained for so long appeared to be facing imminent danger. As a result, the competition between the two princes was getting more and more turbulent and becoming more and more of a dilemma to the various parties as they wondered which prince they should support. If the prince they supported ascended gloriously to the royal position, that would be great, as their own status would then be raised accordingly as well. But if the prince they supported failed, when a new king is crowned, he brings to court his own favorites and expels those he disliked. The new king would definitely pay them back for their previous lack of support. Ling Han and Liu Yutong did not travel by carriage. Instead, they walked to the residence of the fourth prince. At the door, there were many guards stationed, helping to welcome the incoming guests. "Excuse me, please show us your invitation, the two of you." When a guard saw the two of them approach, he walked over and blocked them from advancing further. "Invitation?" Ling Han startled. He did not have this kind of thing, as Chi Jantai had only issued him a verbal invitation. He said, "I'm Ling Han, and I should be on the name list for guests." "Then I apologize. Those without an invitation will not be allowed to enter." The guard said solemnly, "Has that little girl, Chi Jantai, played a trick on him?" Ling Han could not help thinking thus. "Ha ha ha! You dare to come here without an invitation." A taunting voice said. A young man stepped down from a carriage. He was dressed in luxurious formal attire, making him look very flashy. He was Jin Wuxiang, and just before noon he had even had an argument with Ling Han. "Village boy, this here is the residence of the fourth prince, not a place anyone can simply enter freely." Jin Wuxiang laughed coldly. He then removed a gold-colored invitation from the folds of his clothes, proudly waved it around and said, "Look here clearly. This is the invitation. But a minor character like you will never receive this kind of thing in your life." He really was too pleased. At noon, because of the dread he felt towards the chief butler, he could only choose to flee with his tail between his legs. But since he has met Ling Han here at this moment, this was an opportunity gifted by heavens for him to avenge himself. Haha. He really must properly humiliate this guy before killing him. Ling Han could not help shaking his head. This guy was only in the 9th layer of body refining tier. So where did his feeling of superiority come from? And he kept attracting aggression for his clan. If he encountered any elite martial artist with a bad temper, that could also possibly lead to difficulties for his clan. What are you still standing around here for? Do you think that if you stand here long enough, you'll be pitied and allowed in? Jin Wuxiang continued to sneer in derision, but once his eyes swept over Liu Yutong, his eyes could no longer remove themselves from her figure. He had only just now realized Liu Yutong's presence, and was instantly captivated by this icy beauty. He could only feel the rapidly increasing pace of his heartbeat, and the boiling of the blood in his veins. "Brat, you?" Peng! Jin Wuxiang had only just opened his mouth when Ling Han gave a heavy blow to his face, and his whole body was instantly flung away. This kind of prodigal young master would definitely have nothing nice to say, so Ling Han made a preemptive strike to avoid filth from entering his ears. "You hit me again?" Jin Wuxiang crawled up from the ground. He was full of grievances. Within this one day, he had been hit by Ling Han twice. He was the 6th young master of the Jin clan. When had he ever received such treatment? "If you don't want to be hit a 3rd time, get lost." Ling Han gave a flick of his hand. How dare you? Are you really so tired of living? Jin Wuxiang's eyes were spitting fire, and he said to the guards around them, You have all seen it, right? This guy actually dared to beat up a guest of the fourth prince. Are you not going to apprehend him? This guy was not stupid. He knew how to take advantage of the situation. Master Ling, please cooperate. One of the guards stepped out. You must come with us. Although all of them knew that the sixth young master of the Jin clan was a standard prodigal young master, and there were 100 times more people in the city that disliked him than those who liked him, this was the residence of the fourth prince. How could others be allowed to act impertinently in this place? Jin Wuxiang could not help feeling very proud of himself. He was feeling extremely superior because of his own cleverness. See, who was the one who said he'd be nothing without his clan? Hey, what's the commotion here all about? A young girl dressed in courtly attire walked out, hands behind her back and a crafty expression on her face. It was Xuanhuan. Greetings, seventh princess. All of the guards hurriedly saluted. Rise! The young girl raised her hand in a mature, experienced manner. When she looked at Ling Han, she deliberately put on a surprised expression and said, Yi, why are you still outside? Ling Han understood now. The girl had purposely not issued him an invitation just to see a good show. As a result, she must have waited near the door, and naturally had witnessed the conflict between Ling Han and Jin Wuxiang. She could have already stepped out early on to stop it, but had only stepped out now. This showed that this girl was the kind of person that desired to see the world in chaos. When they heard her words, the guards naturally realized that Ling Han was truly one of the guests tonight, so there was no longer any need to bother about little details like why he did not have an invitation. And since the seventh princess has already spoken, they could not possibly still intend to apprehend Ling Han. Master Ling, apologies for our lacking manners, all the guards said in unison to Ling Han. Ling Han only gave Chizantai a stern gaze, but the girl did not feel scared at all. She stuck out her tongue at him and quickly ran over to Liu Yutong and said, Wah, big sister, you're very beautiful. Meanwhile, Jin Wuxiang was infuriated half to death. It seemed like he was a hideous person doing mischief, seeking his own humiliation. His eyes focused on Ling Han, and he naturally thought that Ling Han had clung on to Chizantai for her power and influence. And when he recalled that Ling Han still had an extraordinarily beautiful maiden by his side, he immediately realized this guy was a master at picking up girls and was a professional at living off women. When he thought in this way, he looked even further down at Ling Han. Many thoughts ran through his mind, like how could he kill Ling Han and avenge himself? Just when his thoughts took a venomous turn, he saw Ling Han walk over to him. He could not help straightening up into a pompous stance and said, You want to make peace with me now? It's too late. I will definitely. Pah! He received a firm, solid slap and was completely dumbfounded. He, the one and only sixth young master of the Jin clan, had actually been slapped in a public setting. What great shame and humiliation was this? And all around them, whether it was Chizantai, the guards, or the guests who had arrived subsequently, they could not help gasping when they saw this scene. If a conflict happened amongst the younger generation, it was fine and a normal thing. None of the older generation of the clans would make a move because of this. But even if you beat anyone up, never aim for the face. This was not only an embarrassment to Jin Wuxiang, but also the Jin clan behind him. Even the first prince or the fourth prince would not slap Jin Wuxiang impulsively, unless the latter had really done something extremely foolish and idiotic. Who did Ling Han think he was to actually dare to do such a thing?